You're 58 years old. You don't just start over now. What will people think? We've been married 35 years. I'm too old to date, too old to rebuild, too old to be alone. These are the thoughts that keep women trapped in unhappy marriages as they enter their 50s, 60s, and beyond. The belief that it's too late, that you've missed your window, that starting over at this age is impossible. But what if that's not true? Today, we're sitting down with 3 women who divorced after 50. Patricia, who left at 52 after 28 years of marriage, Linda, who divorced at 59 after 33 years, and Margaret, who filed at 64 after 41 years. They're going to tell you the truth about gray divorce, the challenges that are unique to divorcing later in life, the surprises, both hard and beautiful, the realities of retirement planning alone, navigating adult children's reactions, and yes, dating in your 60s. Because here's what these women want you to know. It's not too late. You're not too old. Starting over at 50, 60, even 70 is not only possible, it might be the best decision you ever make. Let's talk about gray divorce and why age is not a reason to stay in a marriage that's no longer serving you. Patricia's story, age 52. Patricia divorced at 52 after 28 years of marriage. She and her husband had grown into strangers. They'd spent their 20s and 30s building careers and raising kids. Their 40s were consumed by teenagers' activities and aging parents' needs. And when they finally had time for each other in their 50s, they realized they had nothing to say. No shared interests, no deep conversations, no intimacy, just logistics and obligations and the weight of years, spent side by side but not together. Patricia stayed longer than she should have because of one persistent thought. I'm 50 years old. I can't start over now. This is what marriage looks like at this age. Everyone's bored and disconnected. This is just what you accept. Her wake-up call came at her 30th high school reunion. She saw her former best friend, someone she'd lost touch with years ago. They spent the evening catching up. Her friend was vibrant, joyful, alive. She'd divorced 5 years earlier, at 47, and rebuilt her entire life. She was dating someone wonderful. She'd started a business. She was traveling. She was glowing. Patricia drove home that night next to her husband in silence and realized this isn't what 50 has to be. Her friend proved it. You can start over. You can build something new. You can be alive at 50. She filed for divorce 2 months later. Her adult children were shocked. But you've been together forever. Can't you just stick it out? They couldn't understand why she'd blow up a decades-long marriage that looked fine from the outside. Her friends were divided. Some supported her, others judged her, called her selfish, suggested she was having a midlife crisis. But Patricia knew this wasn't a crisis. It was clarity. She had maybe 30 good years left. Did she want to spend them in a marriage that made her feel invisible? Or did she want to find out who she could be when she wasn't performing the role of dutiful wife? She chose herself. Patricia told us the first year was brutal. The loneliness, the financial adjustment going from 2 incomes to 1 with retirement looming, the social awkwardness of being newly single in a world of couples, the fear that she'd made a terrible mistake. But by year 2, things shifted. She rediscovered hobbies she'd abandoned decades ago. She started painting again, something she'd loved in college. She joined a hiking group and made new friends. She traveled to places her ex was never interested in. She had time and space to figure out who Patricia was outside of being someone's wife. At 56 now, 4 years post-divorce, Patricia says she's never been happier. She's dating someone casually, no pressure to remarry. She has a group of single women friends who support each other. She's planning early retirement to do more traveling. She's living intentionally instead of just existing. And yes, she wishes she'd left sooner, but she's grateful she left when she did, instead of waiting until 60 or 70 or never. Patricia's message to women in their 50s considering divorce: you're not too old to start over. You're finally old enough to know exactly what you want and brave enough to go after it. Don't waste your good years waiting for something to change. Be the change. Linda's story, age 59. Linda's story is different. She divorced at 59, just as she was approaching retirement, because she finally confronted something she'd been denying for years. Her husband was an alcoholic. For decades, she'd made excuses. He's just stressed from work. He only drinks in the evenings. It's not that bad. He's never hit me. Other people have it worse. But in his late 50s, as he approached retirement, his drinking escalated. He was drinking during the day, missing family events because he was too drunk, becoming mean and unpredictable. Linda realized she couldn't spend her retirement this way. She didn't want to retire just to become a full-time caretaker to an alcoholic husband. She'd given him 33 years. She was done. But leaving at 59 came with challenges younger women don't face. The financial complexity was overwhelming. They were supposed to retire together. Everything was planned as a unit. Social security, pensions, retirement accounts, savings. Splitting it all and planning solo retirement was complicated and scary. Linda had to recalculate her retirement timeline and lifestyle. Her adult children took sides. 2 of her 3 kids supported her. One was furious. He accused her of abandoning her father, of being selfish, of breaking up the family right when everyone should be coming together for grandkids and holidays. The estrangement from her son was one of the hardest parts of the divorce. Dating felt impossible. Linda tried dating apps at 60. She told us it was brutal. She said men my age were looking for women 10, 15, 20 years younger. The ones who weren't were dealing with their own baggage. Recent divorces, health issues, still angry at their exes. I went on a few dates and gave up. It felt pointless. People judged her differently than they would have at 30. Friends said things like, "You're almost 60, can't you just make it work for a few more years?" As if I'm almost 60 meant my happiness didn't matter anymore. As if I should just endure because I was too old to want more. But she pushed through all of it. She downsized to a small condo she could afford alone. She adjusted her retirement plan, working 3 extra years to build more savings. She joined Al-Anon and worked through her codependency patterns. She rebuilt her relationship with her supportive kids and accepted the estrangement from her son, as painful as it was. And she discovered something unexpected. She loved living alone. She told us, "I'd never lived alone in my entire life. From my parents' house to my college dorm to marriage. At 62, I finally have my own space. It's quiet, it's peaceful, it's mine. I'm not cleaning up for anyone, I'm not walking on eggshells, I'm not managing anyone's mood or addiction. I'm just free." She didn't find romantic love again, but she found other kinds of love. Deep friendships with other divorced women, close bonds with her grandchildren, a renewed relationship with her sister. She found community in places she didn't expect. Linda said the hardest part of gray divorce is that you're grieving not just the present, but the future you thought you'd have. She'd imagined traveling together in retirement, spoiling grandkids together, growing old together. That future died with the divorce. But a new future was born. A quieter, simpler, freer future. One where she's finally at peace. Linda's message, leaving later in life is harder in some ways. The financial stakes are higher, the judgment is heavier, but your happiness matters at 59 just as much as it matters at 39. Don't let age be the reason you stay in misery. You still have good years ahead. Make them count.
Margaret's story, age 64. Margaret divorced at 64 after 41 years of marriage. 41 years. People's jaws dropped when she told them, "After 41 years, you're getting divorced? Why now?" The answer was simple. Because she finally could. Margaret had known for at least 15 years that her marriage was dead. They had nothing in common. They barely spoke. He was controlling and dismissive. But she stayed because she was financially dependent. She'd been a stay-at-home mom for most of the marriage, only working part-time jobs here and there. She didn't have her own retirement savings. She was terrified of being poor and alone at 60. So she waited. She waited for Social Security. She waited until she could claim a portion of his pension. She waited until she'd calculated that she could barely survive alone, but survive nonetheless. And then, at 64, she left. Her adult children were grown with their own lives. They were shocked, but ultimately supportive. They'd seen the dysfunction, even if she thought she'd hidden it. But Margaret faced unique challenges that younger women don't encounter. Rebuilding at 64 meant accepting limitations. She couldn't go back to school and start a new career. She couldn't work full-time for 20 years to build wealth. Her options were constrained by age and health. She had to be realistic about what was possible. The social isolation was profound. Most of her friends were married couples. After the divorce, many couple friends disappeared. She wasn't invited to gatherings anymore. She didn't fit neatly into social structures built for pairs. Dating wasn't even a consideration. Margaret wasn't interested. At 64, after 41 years with one person, she had no desire to navigate the dating world. She wanted to be alone and discover who she was outside of being his wife. Healthcare was a nightmare. Losing his insurance meant figuring out her own coverage until Medicare kicked in. The cost and complexity were overwhelming. This is a challenge specific to divorcing before 65. People questioned her mental state. Family members actually asked if she was experiencing dementia or a breakdown. They couldn't fathom why a woman her age would upend her life. The ageism was blatant and hurtful. But Margaret persisted. She moved into a small one-bedroom apartment. She lived frugally, more frugally than she ever had. She got a part-time job at a bookstore, not for the money, but for the structure and social connection. She joined a senior center and made friends with other single older women. She spent her first year alone reading, just reading. She read books she'd always wanted to read but never had time for. She read novels and memoirs and poetry. She sat in coffee shops with her books and felt utterly content. Margaret told us something profound. People think you need to be rebuilding a big life at my age. New career, new partner, new adventures. But sometimes freedom looks like quiet, like small pleasures, like finally having peace. My life is small now, and it's beautiful. She's 68 now, 4 years post-divorce. She has a cat, a small circle of close friends, her books, her part-time job, her weekly yoga class, and her relationship with her children has deepened now that she's free from the marriage that consumed her. Her grandchildren visit, and she's fully present with them in ways she couldn't be before. She's not wealthy, she's not traveling the world, she's not dating or remarried, but she's free. And at 68, after 4 decades of feeling trapped, freedom is everything. Margaret's message: it's never too late to choose yourself. Even at 64, even after 41 years, even when everyone thinks you're crazy. You don't need decades ahead of you to make leaving worthwhile. You just need a few good years of peace, and that's worth everything. Unique challenges of gray divorce. Let's talk specifically about what makes divorcing after 50 different. Financial complexity. Retirement planning becomes critical. You're splitting assets when you have less time to rebuild. Social Security, pensions, 401ks, all of it needs to be recalculated for single living. Many women have to delay retirement or continue working longer than planned. The financial margin for error is smaller. Adult children's reactions. Adult children often struggle more than young children. They've built their identities around their parents' marriage. They feel blindsided. They take sides. They worry about holidays and grandchildren. Some relationships with adult children suffer, at least temporarily. This is one of the most painful aspects women mentioned. Social dynamics. Couple-based friendships often dissolve. Social invitations disappear. You're suddenly the odd one out. Building new friendships at this age requires intentional effort. Many women said the loneliness was more intense than they expected. Healthcare considerations. Health insurance, healthcare costs, and declining health become factors. Some women stay married longer than they want to maintain insurance until Medicare kicks in. Others leave despite health concerns because emotional health matters too. Dating after 50. The dating landscape is complicated. Fewer available partners, more baggage, health issues, adult children's opinions. Many women choose not to date at all and focus on friendships and self-discovery instead. That's a valid choice. Ageism and judgment. People judge gray divorce harshly. You're throwing away all those years. You're too old to start over. What will people think? The societal pressure to stay is immense. You're fighting not just your own fear, but everyone else's opinions. Time horizon. The awareness that you have fewer years ahead changes the calculation. Some women feel urgency, like, I don't have time to waste. Others feel defeat, like, what's the point now? Navigating that mindset is crucial. But here's what they want you to know. Yes, gray divorce is harder in some ways, but it's also easier in others. You know yourself better at 55 than you did at 25. You're less concerned with others' opinions. You're clearer about what you want. You're braver. You've survived hard things before. You know you can survive this too. And the freedom that comes with leaving, even late in life, is profound. You're not starting from zero. You're starting from wisdom, experience, strength, and clarity about what matters.
Here's what Patricia, Linda, and Margaret want women considering gray divorce to know. From Patricia, don't let wasted years trap you. Those years had value regardless of whether the marriage continues. The question isn't whether you've invested enough. It's whether you want to spend your remaining years the same way. I promise you don't want to reach 70 and realize you stayed out of fear. From Linda, get your finances in order before you leave if possible. Talk to a financial advisor. Understand what your solo retirement looks like. The financial fear is real, but it's manageable with planning. Don't let it paralyze you. There's always a way to make it work. From Margaret, your life might be smaller after gray divorce. That's okay. Smaller doesn't mean lesser. My life is quieter, simpler, more peaceful than it's ever been. I'm not traveling the world or living some grand adventure. I'm just finally at peace, and that's more valuable than any adventure. All three agreed on these points. Start building your own identity before you leave. Don't wait until after to figure out who you are. Start now with hobbies, friendships, interests that are yours alone. Find community with other single women your age. They understand in ways married friends won't. Seek out divorced women's groups, activity groups, anything that connects you with others navigating this stage alone. Don't rush into dating unless you want to. It's okay to be alone. It's okay to focus on yourself. It's okay to decide you don't want another romantic relationship. There's no timeline you have to follow. Expect grief, but also expect unexpected joy. You'll grieve the future you thought you'd have, but you'll also experience surprising moments of happiness, freedom, and peace you didn't expect. Be prepared for judgment and criticism. Have your responses ready, or choose not to engage. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Work with a therapist who understands late-life divorce. The emotional landscape is different. You need someone who gets it. For those still deciding, if you're in your 50s or 60s, reading this, wondering if it's too late, here's what we want you to hear. It's not too late. You're not too old. Starting over is possible at any age. Yes, it's harder in some ways. The financial stakes are higher. The social judgment is heavier. The unknowns are scarier. But staying in a marriage that makes you miserable just because you're too old to leave is not the answer. You're not too old to be happy. You're not too old to choose yourself. You're not too old to want more. You might have 10 good years ahead. You might have 30. But they're your years, and you get to decide how you spend them. Patricia, Linda, and Margaret all said the same thing. I wish I'd left sooner, but I'm grateful I left when I did. Not one of them said I should have stayed. Think about that. Here's what I want to ask you today. For our viewers in this stage of life, what's your biggest question or concern about gray divorce? Are you worried about finances, about being alone, about what your adult children will think, about starting over, about dating, about whether you're making the right choice? Share in the comments. Tell us where you are in your journey. Tell us what's holding you back or what gave you the courage to leave. This community includes women of all ages, and the women who've walked this path before you want to support you through it. Because gray divorce is growing. More women over 50 are choosing themselves. You're not alone in this. You're part of a movement of women who refuse to accept that age is a reason to stay miserable. Patricia, Linda, and Margaret are proof that it's possible, that you can leave at 52, 59, 64, and build a life worth living, that your happiness matters at any age. In our next video, we're finally going to talk about rebuilding your identity after divorce. We've referenced it throughout this series, and it's time. Who are you when you're no longer his wife? How do you reconnect with yourself? We're diving deep into that next. Until then, if you're considering gray divorce, sit with these stories. Let them sink in. Let them show you what's possible.
Age is not a reason to stay. It's not too late. You're not too old. You deserve happiness at 50, 60, 70, and beyond. Don't let anyone, including yourself, tell you otherwise. You've got this, and we've got you.